UFC 325 Volkanovski versus Lopes 2 kicks off this Saturday, and I am utterly disappointed that this is the title challenger the UFC decided to throw at Alexander, the greatest featherweight of all time, Volkanovski. What a shame. Nonetheless, I want to kick things off by going through some expectations I have in the prelims and some things to expect in those fights, starting with Jonathan Mikulev versus Oban Elliott. Not going to do any predictions in this section, but I expect Oban Elliott to look like the slowest motherfucker on the card. I expect his strikes to literally look like they're swimming through molasses. This guy, for some reason, has the slowest strikes I have ever seen. Despite looking like a fairly athletic individual, his hands and arms are slow motion, bro. Unreal. That's my only expectation for this fight. No prediction. Next up, Jacob Malkoun versus Torres Finney. Jacob Malkoun is a mythical fighter, bro. This guy has hips of steel. Literal steel. If Torres Finney shoots a takedown at his hips, it is over for him. My only expectation is exactly that. If Torres Finney shoots a takedown, he may die. He may die if he makes head contact with those hips. Avoid those hips at all costs, Torres, or else you are losing this fight. Next up, probably one of the most highly skilled, highly anticipated matchups on this entire card. We have Cam Roston versus Cody Brundage. I'm also totally joking, by the way, because Cody Brundage might literally be one of the worst fighters that is on the UFC roster. This guy, for some reason, always looks like he's going to get hurt. But not like I'm in a cage, I might get knocked out, in a way that's like I'm going to get eye poked, or I'm going to drop to a knee and get knee to the head and just collapse. Like, this guy, for some reason, has been given second chances time and time again from his opponents by either poking him in the eye, losing the fight, but having the excuse of an eye poke, or winning a horribly boring decision where you're just like, why is he here? Or getting knee to the head and just getting a DQ. So my expectation for this fight is that Cam Roston's going to dominate him in all accounts, everywhere. Cam actually has a surprising amount of submission wins on his record. So my only expectation for this is complete and utter domination by Cam Roston, and then he eye pokes him, or he knees him in the head after he just beat the living shit out of him on the feet while he's down. And we just sit there, hands, face in hands, wondering, why does God keep giving Cody Brundage all these chances? That's my only expectation for that fight. God damn. Cody Brundage fires me up. I don't know why. Just looking at his face makes me mad. Makes me frustrated. But yeah, only prediction for that is that. Next up, we got Junior Tafa versus Billy Alicana. Billy Alicana is relatively new to the UFC. I think his first fight, he actually stepped in on short notice, like a day's notice or like maybe a week's notice tops, against Bogdan Guskov, and actually dominated the first round. Controlled him the entire round. Unfortunately, the second round went the entirely opposite way for him, where Bogdan took him down, controlled him, and then choked him out. So, yeah, I mean, that's a little about Billy, but at the end of the day, Junior Tafa is not getting in the octagon, guys. This guy's going to miss weight. This guy's going to get hurt. This guy has so many canceled bouts, so many disappointing bouts. I don't even know what to say about him, because I feel like I barely even got to watch him fight. Every time he's announced, it's like, oh, Junior Tafa, oh, he's off the card. Same with his brother, Justin. Both of them, they always get announced to fight. They never fight. So my only expectation for this is that this fight is going to get canceled. Deadass. That's all I got. But that's enough of the prelim expectations. We're moving on to the main card. And we got some banging fights here. Banging fights. Starting it off with the main card opener, we got Quillen the Kid, Sal Kid versus Jamie Malarkey, a couple of Aussie boys going at it. It's very rare that you see two Australian guys fighting against each other. I feel like this is one of the first times I've seen this. Nonetheless, Quillen Sal Kid is unfortunately going to take Jamie Malarkey's head off, similar to what he did to the once fat, overweight child, Nasrat Haqparast. His parents owned a bakery. Nasty head kick KO. Nasrat Haqparast still hasn't woke up. It's rumors I've heard. Quillen Sal Kid absolutely ended that man. Nastiest, cleanest head kick KO I've seen in a while. Just disgusting work from Quillen Sal Kid. I don't expect a head kick KO here against Jamie Malarkey. I think Jamie Malarkey works with a lot more of a higher guard. So does Nasrat, but Nasrat really opened up in that fight against Quillen and just got put down bad. Jamie Malarkey, I expect to just kind of get beat up and then just slowly, like the pressure is going to make him fade into the cage and then he's just going to like crumble into the cage like he did the last two fights he had against Mauricio Ruffy, who is also on this card. Or not his last two fights. He won his last fight by decision, but his two fights before that, he lost by TKO in the first round, and they're both kind of the same sort of deal there. Just pressure got the best of him, caught with a nasty shot, worked down, and collapsed into a ball against the cage. So that's kind of what I expect here. Final prediction, Quillen Sal Kid going TKO second round. I expect first round to maybe be a little bit close with Jamie Malarkey stinging him with the jab. He does have a really quick, nice jab that he kind of throws in there, and he's consistent with it. It's not like a one and done. He does throw it in quite often, but I think Quillen will eventually get through that, work his footwork, get into the pocket, and beat him up. So push him against the cage, and then ultimately beat him up. So yeah, I'm going Quillen Sal Kid by second round TKO. Next up, the man, the myth, the legend, Bam Bam Tai Tuivasa returns after losing 5 pretty embarrassing fights in a row for him where nothing a whole lot happened. I don't even remember who his opponents were. Yeah, I mean, we're looking at 5 losses in a row, almost all of them fairly dominating. Cyril Gane KO'd him in the third round. Granted, back of the head shots, yes, but still he never really had any control of that fight and was just swinging punches, hoping for that one blow. And then he lost to Sergey Pavlich KO. He lost to Volkov when he got Ezekiel choked, taken down and beat up and then choked out badly. And then Marcin Tybura, Tom Aspinall's greatest fighter of all time, Marcin Tybura. He's a great fighter. Jairzinho, I'm never doing impersonations again. Jesus, that was terrible. Anyway, Jairzinho Rozenstruik then beat him in a split decision, and it has been since August 17th, 2024 since he's last fought, so almost a 2-year layoff for Bam. But my main concern is, what did he do in those 2 years? And that's something we just don't know. That's the biggest unknown of this fight coming into that he has against Talison Teixeira is, did he actually put in work on those 2 years that he took off, or was he considering retiring? Was he considering, wrapping it up, being done with the sport altogether? Because at the end of the day, I think Tai Tuivasa is a one-trick pony. He swings heavy, he swings hard, and if he connects, you go out, period. But that's all he has. That's truly all he has. However, this Talison Teixeira guy looks like a motherfucker that's gonna go the hell to sleep, boys. I think Bam Bam, regardless of what he did on his time off, do I think he's taken the time in the gym and put his skills together to become a better all-round MMA fighter? Hell no. I think this guy's eaten more in the last 2 years than he has in the previous 5. But I do think it's his coming home party, and I think he gets the best of Talison Teixeira here, and I think he gets it done quick. The crowd's going to be behind him. Everyone's going to be loving, praying for the shoeies. Shoeies are going to be storming the crowds here in Perth. I think it's in Perth. No, it's in Sydney. The Shoeys are going to be all over the crowd leading up to this fight, getting prepared for Tai to absolutely murder Taliesin Texera, and I expect nothing short of that. I think Tai Tuivasa is going to knock him out within the first half of the first round in brutal, crumbling fashion. So final prediction, brutal KO by Tai Tuivasa in his welcome home party. 2-year layoff, almost 2-year layoff. He is back, our boy. Bam, bam. Tai Tuivasa, let's go, baby. We're cheering for him. We're rooting for him. Next up, a complete juxtaposition from the previous fight. Swang and bang. Fat heavyweights. We move into some of the crispiest, cleanest striking you will ever expect to see in a UFC fight. Rafael Fiziev versus Mauricio Rufy, the second coming of Conor McGregor, who just got pretty brutally fraud checked by Benoit Saint Denis, although Benoit Saint Denis is nothing short of a fucking marauder, boys. This guy is a beast. If anyone says anything different because he got KO'd by Dustin Poirier, I don't want to hear it. I do not want to hear it. Anyway, back to this fight. This will be insane. So we went from fat blob heavyweight swanging and banging to the crispiest, cleanest, most jacked boy striking of all time. These guys are absolutely yoked units who are the quickest, smoothest, cleaning, striking people you will ever fucking see in MMA and UFC history. And they're fighting each other, boys. This is huge. This is like the Sandhagen versus O'Malley of the bantamweight division before Sandhagen decided to be a grappler for whatever fucking reason. So that's a mythical fight we'll never get because Sandhagen's just going to take down O'Malley if they ever fight, and it's going to be the most piss poor performance ever, and we're going to hate it, and Sandhagen's going to lay and pray to victory. I'm getting so distracted here. Okay, let me lock in. Rafael Fiziev, Mauricio Rufy. So the thing about this fight that makes it interesting is Rufy has a decent reach advantage. A lot of this fight is gonna be determined by how Mauricio Rufy is able to control his distancing and stay away from Fiziev. Because Fiziev has nasty leg kicks. He has nasty body kicks. And if he is swinging those and within distance of Mauricio Rufy, Rufy's going to end up in some trouble. But with that said, I think Rufy has really clean, quick footwork. He's able to jump in and out really quickly, piece up his opponent, jab, jab, jab. And I think what it's going to come down to is exactly that. And Fiziev's just going to look a little more beat up and banged up after each round than Rufy is, and ultimately win him his round. I don't think Fiziev has that one-hit knockout power that we kind of expected him to have before he fought Justin Gaethje the first and second time. We always looked at him as this killer striker who was just nasty, and he is nasty, but he doesn't have that one-hit KO power that we kind of once thought he did. So what I expect here is that I expect a decision victory for Mauricio Rufy in a fashion where he's just pinging Rafael Fiziev from the outside. And because of that, at the end of each round, Fiziev's going to be leaking. He's going to have swollen eyes. He damages so easily in the Justin Gaethje fights. In both the Justin Gaethje fights, his face was banged up, bro. Like, banged up. So I expect him to look really good at the beginning, land some nice leg kicks, land those body kicks, swinging, loud, slapping connections. But I think eventually Rufy's going to get in control of his distance and ping him. And eventually, I think he's going to take this by 3-round decision. I think Fiziev could get a round in there, but I think Rufy's going to be able to figure out his distance management, and ultimately that's what's going to win him the fight. And I think Fiziev's going to look a little banged up after this, but not to say that he isn't an unreal fighter and one of my favorite in the UFC. So I am not going to be disappointed if he wins. I just think Mauricio Rufy, with that reach advantage and his footwork and how quick he is on the feet, is going to allow him to move really fast in and out of the pocket and ultimately land the more favorable strikes. So yeah, Rufy decision. Benoit Saint Denis versus the Hangman Dan Hooker. Wow. What a fight, and what a quick turnaround from Dan Hooker. I love to see that because, Dan, he really didn't take a lot of damage in that fight against Arman Tsarukyan back in, I think it was early November, maybe late October. He did not take a lot of damage. He got dominated, but he didn't get KO'd. He wasn't knocked out. I don't even think he took a knockdown, or at least it wasn't a vicious knockdown. So I'd love to see him get right back in there. Unfortunately, he's getting right back in there against BSD, who is on a bit of a tear right now and who has looked really good, especially in his last fight against Mauricio Rufy. People will say that was a fraud check. I think BSD is just that good. I mean, the only time we saw this guy lose was against Renato Moicano, which, don't get me wrong, was an absolutely dominating performance. And we were also thinking, oh, BSD fraud check. I don't see Dan Hooker having the skills that are required to beat a guy like Benoit Saint Denis. I think Benoit Saint Denis has the ability to walk down Dan Hooker. I think Dan Hooker is going to be doing his big looping body kicks that ultimately Benoit Saint Denis is just going to block and walk through. Those are going to mean absolutely nothing to him. And then he's going to get Dan up against the fence, start beating him up, start swinging his hooks, start swinging to the body up top, really mixing in the striking. And I think Dan's just going to crumble to the pressure against the fence. And once he does, BSD is going to boom, swing down, double leg, take him down, beat him the fuck up until he either gets him onto his back, chokes him out, or the ref is like, I've seen enough, and stops the fight. BSD TKO victory in the second round. No way this doesn't end in a finish. I love Dan Hooker, absolute fan favorite, but second round, maybe third round TKO or submission for Benoit Saint Denis with exactly how I just described it. I don't see this fight going any other way. I don't think Dan Hooker has the power to really gain respect out of Benoit Saint Denis to stop him from moving forward. And I don't think he's going to be able to put the pressure on BSD to stop BSD's pressure. I think BSD has that will to push through whatever Dan Hooker is going to throw and ultimately gain control of the ring, push him against the fence, beat him the hell up. So BSD, second or third round TKO or submission. Next up, the main event. I don't understand how the UFC does what they do, and I don't think I'll ever understand it, or how they matchmake, how they choose their fights. I mean, we can all attempt to matchmake and choose the fights, but at the end of the day, what the fuck is this? This is one of the most disgusting, disgraceful matchups I've ever seen in my life. To do this to Alexander the Great Volkanovski in his potentially the last fight of his career, his legendary Hall of Fame bound guaranteed career, to feed him a back-to-back opponent in Diego Lopes, who was coming off one win. Granted, it was a spectacular win against Gene Silva. To give him an immediate title shot after that is insane when we have all these other contenders. Evloev, Lerone Murphy's coming off literally the exact same spectacular knockout that Diego Lopes landed on Gene Silva, spinning back elbow. And he landed it on, what the heck? Aaron Pico from Bellator, the Bellator bum, who was all around considered an extremely dangerous opponent, and he put him down like it was nothing. Yet, Diego Lopes does it to Gene Silva, the cringe lord himself crying over the belt, Gene Silva, and suddenly he gets another title shot? I don't understand it. How? Even Aljamain Sterling deserves it over this guy. And I'm not saying that Diego Lopes shouldn't have taken this title shot. What I'm saying is that Aljamain Sterling is a previous bantamweight defending champion. That does so much more for Alexander Volkanovski's legacy than Diego Lopes back-to-back. Like, what the actual fuck are we doing? Volk Masterclass. Another Volk masterclass. That's the only thing that I can expect out of this fight. Diego Lopes has been given a bit of a disservice by the UFC getting him in there against Alexander this quickly again. He has 10 rounds to find one shot, and I don't think he'll do it. That's the crazy thing. I think Volk's chin is still there, unless your name is Ilia Topuria, one of the most powerful, greatest knockout artists we have literally ever seen, or your name is Islam Makhachev at a higher weight class, and not only that, his fucking shin to the dome. No one's knocking this guy out. He's gone 3 rounds with Max Holloway. Sorry, 15 rounds with Max Holloway. And he didn't get KO'd. I don't think this Brazilian fighting at a Mexican guy with a big ass mullet is going to find the shot in 10 rounds. I do not see it happening. Volk is going to absolutely win this fight, 100% guaranteed. 5-round decision again. I can see him getting knocked down. I can see him, maybe there's a moment where we're all clenching our teeth, holding our fists. No, Volk. And he'll scramble his way out of it. He'll get up and he'll keep going. This guy is not a quitter. This guy is the greatest featherweight of all time. He's winning this fight. And it just pains me that the UFC wants to see him asleep on the canvas so badly. Why this guy? We can say because they want a Mexican champ. They want the next Canelo Alvarez. He's not even Mexican. Like, he's from Brazil. Yes, he's fighting at a Mexican. He represents Mexico, but like, why Diego Lopes? I don't know. I really don't see how one fight against Gene Silva is going to make this any different for him. I don't see how Lopes has been given enough time to build the tools to find that shot against the greatest featherweight of all time. And obviously he has power. Obviously he's a dangerous striker who can knock you out. I mean, he literally knocked out Brian Ortega and woke him up again. Boom, boom, wake up. Boom, out cold. Boom, wake up. But he's not finding that shot on Volk. This is going to be a 5-round masterclass from the great one, Alexander Volkanovski, the great Alexander Volkanovski, and he's going to beat Diego Lopes again. 4 rounds to 1 decision, 1 knockdown for Diego. We're all going to be fucking screaming. I'm going to be on my feet crying, but he's going to get up and do it. The only thing I can take out of this is the UFC needs to do their veterans better. They need to understand that the legacy that their vets has builds up the next group of people. It doesn't always have to be a handoff situation. We can let people walk off into the sunset and stop forcing champions. For God's sake, we need new title contenders for Volk, not the same ones over and over again. Disgraceful. That's it.